welcome to our new podcast. It's called Vanishing Points, where we look at two very divergent points of view and give you a new perspective on some topic or another. My point of view, which is, as this young lady over here describes, the old fogey point of view. Yes, the old. And her point of view, a young and upcoming
Young, savvy, educated.
fetus of a person. Yes, young person. I'm Hayden Green, and this is,
I'm Clarke Green.
yes, the infamous Clarke Green of Let's Clark About It fame. And so I am very, very honored that she wants to do a podcast with me. We'll be doing these maybe once a week or episodically or whenever we can fit into Clark's very, very busy schedule. Their social life is far superior to mine, which is sad just to say that out loud. Anyway, welcome to the podcast. So today we are going to be talking about a topic that not just Clarke, but a lot of people have a lot of opinions about, and it's modern art. Just to give you a little bit of a background, I took Clarke to the Met one time, and we were trying to kill time. There was an event that was happening, and so I was trying to kill time, and we started walking by pieces of art that were literally a square on a page. I think we walked by some Rothkos, and she got really upset. And then we got to the Jackson Pollock, and yeah, she was not a fan. So Clarke, tell me a little bit about how you feel about modern art.
I don't like it. I mean, especially like the sad modern art where it's kind of just like you said, like a square on a page. It's like I was so upset by that. I was like, there are people out here who are creating like these big, beautiful, like portraits, and then there's Jackson Pollock who gets away with making a triangle and saying it's about his childhood trauma.
Well, I mean, remember Jackson Pollock's the splatter guy, and his was huge, right? So, I mean, is there something to be said for doing something that's really that large, even if you don't? No, still no.
If it's just splatter, then no, because you can just. I could do that.
That's the
I
motion.
can do that. It's not the fact. It's not talent. It's just like it would just take you a long time.
But what about the idea? And many people will probably chime in right now that says Jackson Pollock. If you look at it, there's a system to his splatter. Like this, it's almost like a mathematical equation about the patterning and stuff like that. What if somebody told you that about it?
I could do it.
You could do it. All right. Well, maybe.
If I look at things and I'm like, if I can do it, then it shouldn't be in a museum because I'm not that good at art.
Well, here's where we should do a little bit of explanatory comments. And so modern art is from the late 1800s until about 1970 considered to be modern art. So you have people like Degas and Picasso and all of these people who are bucking the trend of the art that came before it. The art that came before it was realistic art. So you saw something, you painted it exactly the way you saw it, and it was a one-to-one depiction of the thing in real life. So modern art comes along and says, well, we're gonna use different colors, and we're gonna use impressionism. And impressionism is this idea of I'm just gonna go outside and paint whatever I see and however it impresses upon me. You have Cubism. The Picasso Cubism era is very, very famous. And then you have people like Monet, who's using really dab brush strokes, which are very different than the way that people had painted before. And so all of these things get lumped in. But what if I told you the thing that you don't like the most is not modern art, but is actually abstract art?
Okay, explain that.
Mind blown, right? So abstract art is really the depiction of ideas and philosophies on some sort of paper or print or whatever, and that doesn't hold true to forms that exist in nature, right? So you might see a square, like if we're talking about the Rothkos, right? The Rothkos are the big square ones where it's a big square on top of another square, and right. So a lot of people look at a Rothko and go like, oh my God, there's so much to see here. But that's considered to be abstract art, where it's not an actual depiction of the actual thing that happens in nature. It's the artist saying, "Oh, this triangle," as you described, and she's not wrong. We did go to the museum, and there were a couple of people like literally drew a triangle.
And they said like the reference my mother. Was your mother a triangle?
Well, maybe his mother was a triangle. Maybe he was a square. Get it? He was a square. No. Sorry. All right. so, so if there is the representation of the triangle really says, this is my interpretation of the dissemination of intelligence from a higher being onto the masses below, and the bottom of the triangle represents the masses, and the point of the triangle represents the deity, the God, the one point of enlightenment. Still no?
I just feel like if they really wanted to represent that, they could have drawn like a deity, and then just drawn like a bunch of little people. Like if I wasn't lazy, I would have drawn like some sort of like big figure on top, and then like the masses on the bottom, because like now nobody believes you.
But what if the artist was lazy? So here's the other
Then
piece.
they should be in a museum.
Well, here's the other piece about art and the art world as a whole. A lot of times you will have a piece that is astounding, everybody loves, and it's like, oh my God. Like, for instance, if we look at Monet, and here's a better example. Picasso was known for these really beautiful pieces of art all throughout his career. And he's one of the few artists that actually made money while he was still alive.
When did Picasso die?
I don't know. We can look that up, and I know somebody will put that in the comments. But
it was like the late 1800s.
See, that's the thing that people oftentimes say. Picasso died in the 1900s, I want to say Picasso died somewhere in the 60s or the 70s. So wait, let me make my point first, okay? So Picasso would draw all of these different things, and then Picasso got commissioned to draw, and this is in Barcelona, to draw a mural on the side of this children's museum. And you can look it up if those of you who are watching. He drew stick figures. And they got really, really pissed off, right? He drew all these stick figures and stuff like that. And if you look at it, it is very much in the line of his Don Quixote line. And his Don Quixote pictures are just literally stick figures with, a guy on a horse. But that's exactly what it looks like. But he's Picasso, so you can't say, oh, well, we want our money back. You got a Picasso on the side of your building. But I say all of that to say, sometimes artists get to the point where they are really famous, and then they get to whatever they do automatically becomes, oh my God, this is brilliant because it came from this particular artist who did this thing that we absolutely love. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's like artists. It's like with controversial opinion, but Ariana Grande, the new song.
Did not have Ariana Grande on my bingo card. Didn't think modern art and Ariana Grande was going to have an intersection. But go ahead.
Here's the thing. The song that she released, like really recently, not the album, the first song that she released, I didn't like it, but people were like, oh, it's a masterpiece. And I was like, is it because it's a masterpiece, or is it because it's Ariana Grande?
Because it's Ariana Grande.
Like, you wouldn't, I don't think that people would like the song if it wasn't Ariana Grande. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm just a hater.
Maybe you are just a hater. But I mean, it's Ariana Grande. We'll excuse you. But what were you about to say about Picasso dying?
No, I was going to say, like, didn't he die? Like, I could say, like, you and him could have, like...
intersected?
It was like your lives, like, you were alive during the time of Picasso.
This is her calling me an old man.
Is it?
In case you're wondering, this is her attempt to say that I am ancient. Right? For those of you in my age group, this is how they describe us, and when they yes, but that's a funny thing, right? So we went to we went to these exhibits, and a lot of the things that you look at is like, oh, that's really old art. there's an idea that you are looking at something from the 1800s and something like that. But some of that stuff came out in the 1970s and even later. So, like, we look at Basquiat. But you like Basquiat
I
art.
really like Basquiat. I like
So, but
no.
that's abstract. All of Basquiat's stuff is abstract.
It's abstract, but it's like the words and it's like they have a meaning. It's like a square and a circle don't really have a meaning to me, but it's like the words and like like in the museum it was like it showed his life and it showed like why he made what he made. But with no, even if I saw Jackson Pollock's life, I wouldn't be like I still wouldn't be like that's good.
So
like, that's not good.
So you're saying that even if you figured out why Jackson Pollock did those things, you don't think that it would still?
Yeah, I mean, like unless it's something like really like profound, like his mother's favorite, like his dead great grandmother's favorite shape was triangle, and so now everything he has to make has to be a triangle. You can still add some sort of creativity to it. You don't have to just draw a triangle. You can draw something on top of the triangle. You can draw something inside the triangle. You can draw something on the point of the triangle. You can draw something outside the triangle. You could write a valid reason for why the triangle. You can write words inside the triangle like Basquiat does. Like you can write words all over the triangle. But instead you just drew triangle, said to the museum, this is about my childhood trauma. They said, okay, and gave you your own exhibit.
Listen, nobody is more mad about this than I am because some of you may know I am a photographer. And so, like, I'll look. Yeah, I know, right? You would have never guessed. So I go to museums sometimes, and I have 3 different ways of looking at museums, right? Like 3 different emotions that happen. Number one, it's like, oh my God, this is great. I could never be that talented. I need to step my game up. Or number 2, how is this in the museum?
Right.
And my stuff is not in the museum.
It's that and poetry that really makes me mad. Because I'll be seeing things on social media, and it's like sorry, my nail fell off. And it'll just
shiny
object. I don't know where it went.
Now we'll be in the eternal search for the nail right after this podcast is
fine.
done.
It's fine. It'll get found. But it'll be like I'll be looking on TikTok and it'll just be like a text conversation and they'll call that poetry. Or someone will just start talking and they'll say it like poetically and people will be like, this is a work of art. No, it's not. They're speaking. It's like they're not intellectual. They're just speaking in a way that's like, they'll be like, today I had an orange juice, and the orange juice was sweet like you.
Bars, son, bars.
And then you call it a bar? You thought you ate that? Take this down. Take this post down now.
Listen, so you know that I do spoken word, and there was a point in time where spoken word houses and spoken word stages were just a place for people to get up there and rant and yell and all the rest of that stuff. So, yeah, I totally get it. So, I have to circle back. Who do you like when it comes to art? Like, what do you like when it comes to art?
I like the realistic ones, the ones where it looks like they took a lot of time on it. Like people who make people who make like places, things.
Like landscapes and portraiture.
Like nouns.
Nouns.
So I like when people make those things. Like people who like it looks like it took time on it. Like, it looks like they really they took like hours on it, and then there'll be that. Like if you hold up like a realistic photo of like a celebrity to me, and you hold up a photo of a circle and a square to me, I'm gonna be like, I like this one. That's a realistic photo of a celebrity, because it looks like you took like hours on it, but that could take you like the circle and the square could take you 15 minutes. Like,
no, I get it. So it sounds like you want your artist to work, right? Mm-hmm. You don't want to be woo over something that looked like it took 5 minutes.
Or something that I could do. Like I look at things that like really abstract art, and I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing. I could never do that. But then I look at like just like a green. Like I remember I went to the Met again with my Arabic class, and I saw it again. I saw something else. It was just like half of the paper was green and half of it was blue, and I was like, okay.
Sounds like a Rothko.
Yeah. I was like, okay, that's amazing, but I could do that. Like I can take green and blue paint and just
Listen,
cut down the middle,
and
paint it.
and it is again, like I said, sometimes and and every time you. So here's a really good exercise. Every time you see a piece of art that you're like, why is this in a museum? Take that artist's name down and go look at their earlier works because what or their later works because sometimes what will happen is that they'll get famous and then people will go back and look at the stuff that they did earlier
And
on
then just put everything.
and put everything into museum. It's like, oh, well, we weren't noticing him or her earlier on in their career, but now we're gonna pay attention.
Maybe there's a reason for that.
Maybe.
Like, maybe there's like a reason.
The
you
earlier
were
stuff
getting
was crap. You didn't. You
earlier stuff was horrible. Like, it's okay. You advanced and you got better. It's like all your stuff should be put in a museum just because some of your stuff is
some
good.
of your stuff is good.
Like, I wouldn't want
agree.
somebody to publish my horrible art from like the second grade just because I learned somehow down the line how to do art. I wouldn't want somebody to like submit all of my art because some of it's bad. And then it will come to this where you're talking 15 minutes about modern art on a podcast.
You know, it's funny because sometimes I wonder that because you'll go to a museum and you'll see that they have the sketchbooks from these artists, and I'm like, I don't know if they wanted you to see that.
I don't know if that was something that they wanted, like,
Right. So, all right. Well, I promise I will. We will continue our journey on art, and we'll go to some other museums, and we can point out some stuff.
No, it's just MoMA free on Fridays.
Oh,
It's
there's an
Saturday.
alert. There's an alert that comes up on my thing that tells me when MoMA is free. MoMA is the Museum of Modern Art, and it is free to New York City
No.
residents.
we
On
can't go there.
I like MoMA, and there's some really interesting stuff in MoMA, but I know that you would get supremely frustrated in there.
We can go to the Brooklyn Museum.
We can go to Brooklyn. You like the Brooklyn Museum,
Mhm.
right? So
By the way, we're from Brooklyn.
we are from Brooklyn. All right. So, well, this has been, our podcast. I hope you enjoyed yourself. We're gonna do this every week, and hopefully it's something that you enjoy. If you have some topics that you want us to talk about, please send it to us. Click and subscribe, and make sure you are supporting us in our endeavor to conquer the world. Yes, I think that's what it is. So from one young person and another old guy, thank you for tuning in to Vanishing Points. We will see you later.
Next time.